Yo, it's good. It's C Trades from C Investments. We're gonna go over a killer trade we took on Nvidia. Uh, I hope you guys like it. It's just a recap. None of this is financial advice, educational. Let's get straight to it. So we are looking at Nvidia right now on the 1 minute time frame, right? I made two trades this week off it. The first one being here, and the second one being here. If we zoom out on an hourly time frame, right? We see that we're clearly starting to break down, right? Trend is slowly starting to change. My first piece of evidence that I look at, or like my first confirmation, right, whatever you want to call it, is the divergence we make, right? So you zoom out here, let's map those out with the money sign, boom, right? Market's showing me that it wasn't strong enough to break these previous highs, and it broke lower, and it actually broke structure down, right? Not only did it break some prominent lows down here, let's map it all the way through so I could show it more clearly. But it also made these coming down and these right here coming down, right? So it showed me that sellers had strength. Like right here, I'm being clearly shown we just broke a bunch of support levels or whatever you want to call it. I don't call them that. Liquidity points, and the market kept pushing them down, right? So boom, now we're staring at it. We see that our bias is changing. I'm no longer bullish on Nvidia right now. I'm going to have to see buyers really come in order for me to switch my ideas and think, oh, okay, now I'm bullish. But as of this, I'm bearish on Nvidia, right? I want to see a push down to these previous lows this week that we had, this wick that we had, probably coming in next week or the week after that, whenever the move happens, unless we break back up, and then down here to these wicks, right? So we could possibly see a retracement to retest liquidity and sweep it at 106, right? So boom, I'm interested on that. And my whole idea started right here with this big day down, right? So this big day down came and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, right? Nvidia just had a huge sell-off in pre-market, right? That sell-off is probably going to continue. I'm not completely sure yet what's going to happen there, but I want to map this out. And this is my entry on, not my entry, this is my like starting bias on, okay, sellers are here. I want to map out those lows on my hourly, right? I want to zoom out to a daily. And I want to point out that there's a big gap Nvidia made here, right? So this big gap could be filled up. If it doesn't get filled up, price is most likely going to liquidate and retest these lows, right? So this is my thought process on yesterday, right? We zoom back out to the minute time frame, and now I have, let's clean those lines now that I demonstrated what they were. And now I have kind of that bias going in. Friday, Thursday, big sell-off Wednesday, right? From here to here. And I want to map out what important points in liquidity, right? Prominent lows and prominent highs that I could be looking at. So these are my prominent lows, right? Boom. And then up here are my prominent highs, right? Well, yesterday's highs. I'm going to just leave it in pre-market levels because I was looking at pre-market levels when I came with my idea to short Nvidia. Market opens, right? We start to rally a little bit, right? That first candle, rally up. We sweep liquidity, trade all the way back down, and we break pre-market lows, right? So we have a sweep, and we have a break of structure, right? Extremely bearish, right? That's the thing that I like to see in my setups when it's telling me, okay, it's time to short the market. I measure the move, equilibrium's chilling about here, zoom back out to my 5-minute chart. Boom, we have a tiny fair value gap here, right? I want to map that out. On the 5-minute, we disrespected it, so I wasn't too, thrilled or like really like seeking where it could go there, right? But I mapped it out, and now I understand that we're creating lower highs, right? And when we break structure down here, we're creating lower lows, right? So that's giving me indication that we're starting to create bear structure. Boom. I see the bear structure starting, so I want to measure that same exact move again, right? Right about here, my entry point. my equilibrium of that move, right? My 50% move. I map out that fair value gap because it's most likely going to be where the retracement goes to, right? I map it out. I go on my 1 minute, zoom back out. As the trade's going on, I am seeing what's happening here, right? So the second that this candle, how do I map that out? The second that this red candle right here shows me that sellers are coming in, right? That's pretty much enough confirmation for me to say, okay, I can go in short and I can hold a stop at these previous wick highs, right? This green candle. And my first take profit is going to be my previous lows. And my initial take profit that I'm going to be aiming for is going to be buy side liquidity, which is right here. I mean, sell side liquidity, which is right here, right? I'm mapping that out. I'm holding out my trade. And I mean, obviously, it goes down to take profit, right? But my whole thought process while I'm in this trade is, okay, I'm getting confirmation here. The second candle, I'm putting in my contracts. I don't remember exactly my fill price. I could go back and check, or like I could repost it on the Discord, whatever it was, right? This was a 2-day expiration though, or a 1-day expiration because it expires Friday. And we were aiming for these lows right here. It was a quick sell-off. It happened pretty fast. It was in the span of about 30 minutes, right? It was a 30-minute trade. I felt extremely confident that we were chasing at least take profit one the second we broke this, right? Because while I'm in my trade, that's telling me structure is getting broken. We're still creating, what's it called? A bearish bias. So because of that, I'm more confident that the trade's going to go in my favor. Here we have a fair value gap to the upside, right? At about the 50% move. It respected it here once, traded back up into our bearish zone. That's when we got short. When this fair value gap got disrespected, it was more confirmation for me because then we retested it and we used it as an inverse fair value gap, right? We came back down here and we took profits here. Why is it important that I close out my trade at my sell side liquidity, right? Let me map that out. Sell side. Why is it that? Because if this wants to sweep like it did, guess what? It's going to have that same rally right back up to pretty much market open, even though market's open up here. It pretty much did have that rally back up near market open, and it was just a sideways trade, right? Because today, Nvidia did have movements down, but it went right back up. So the overall stock stayed pretty neutral. It didn't go up crazy and it didn't go down crazy. It did go down crazy the day before on Wednesday, right? We had a huge sell-off, but here it didn't do much. Now today, I'm holding that same bearish bias. Nvidia's been selling off. My bias is that it's going to sell off. It's pretty overextended. So now I want to see what's going to happen, right? I zoom out in my hourly time frame. I see that we're not strong enough to break these highs, right? So that's telling me buyers are not strong enough to knock out Nvidia sellers right now, right? So what do I want to map out? During my pre-market levels, right? During my pre-market price action, I see this huge bearish fair value gap, right? That's showing me that, yay, sellers are still here. We created an imbalance for market to retrace to and to sell off at. We go in our 1 minute, right? And we're starting to notice, okay, we're trading out of this, right? We created an imbalance. We broke structure to the downside, right? Most importantly, we swept up here these pre-market highs, right? So we have a sweep. We have a break of structure. And most important, we have a fair value gap for entry, right? What made this a valid setup? What made it the most like, oh, yeah, I should get in it. Like, I'm not going to risk much. Well, one, let's measure our risk to reward, right? If I was to get in short here when I saw sellers come in, meaning the second candle, my stops are going to be at these previous highs, right? My first like area of taking profit's going to be down here, right? Because that's my previous like overall, my previous overall wick that I could chase. And then my sell side liquidity is going to be down here, right? Have we hit that yet? No. Do I still have a couple of contracts in it? Yes. Has it mostly been a sideways day? Yes. Has price action been amazing? Not necessarily, right? But this is how we got to that bias, right? We had an hourly fair value gap. We swept those pre-market highs, which is very important Because this to me shows me buyers are not strong enough to push higher. Market just got liquidated. There's more volume. There's more money being thrown in these contracts to sell us off, right? So we go in here, at first getting kind of scared, thinking, oh, might get stopped. Like, what's up with these wicks, right? Don't get stopped. We break structure down here by an inch, right? We break structure down here again, and it hits my overall target of these lows right here, right? It was about a 35% return just because I didn't want to trade 0-day contracts. They're extremely volatile. I didn't want to get stopped. I didn't want the members in my court, to like follow some trade and then like it's extremely volatile, so I can't even tell them in time, like, yo, you should probably pull out. So, boom, it was a safe trade, good risk, 30%. I think it was the max. I'm pretty sure I got stopped out. My contracts at around like 17%, and now I just have a couple runners running. I think these runners down here are about like 35% just because it's a high premium. They expire next week, right? But I am looking for this big move on Nvidia, right? If it does want to sell, and if sellers are in here strong, this is where you're aiming at. 114.92 is going to be that big overall move on Nvidia there. Other than that, you could see a drop down to 107.05. Why not? Chase those premium lows. But remember, it all added up. Like, this wasn't, I didn't like make this as it was going, like, oh, we're following the wave, like everything's falling. No, we had a divergent. We started seeing confirmation. The bulls weren't strong enough, right? We're clearly in a downtrend down here. If you see your like heat map, there's a bunch of stocks in the red, right? Like, look at all this. It's all in the red, right? Come back to Nvidia. Well, guess what? It's most likely going to be the idea I have going for Nvidia. I'm going to be bearish, right? So we got a killer trade here for 130%. And then today we got a trade that hit about 20, 30%. Got stopped at around 17% green. So it wasn't anything crazy, but it was a great trade. Yeah. If you like these type of videos, like these type of recaps, if there's anything that I can improve, right, and like say better, let me know. And yeah, follow C Investments. Thank you.